It's your boy, your host and moderator. Welcome to Just My Opinion podcast. How y'all living or living swell? Feel free to hit the subscription button, notification bell, share this with a friend, family, as well as a follower. Let's get this YouTube as well as this podcast going in the podcast algorithm. I'm real pressed for time, so I'm gonna get into this story about, and this is all alleged. Let's just go ahead and use the word allegedly. Okay, so Matt Barnes is setting the record straight with documents detailing a woman allegedly extorting him for over 60K. All right, so we're gonna get into this article, and this comes from Sports. Never heard of this place before in my life. Let's try this again. So Sports D. Okay, so Matt Barnes took matters of his own hand and went to the public defending himself. The former Golden State Warrior player said that after being under consistent constant strain and being threatened for almost 2 years, he wants to sue the parties that are involved in this extortion of money. um, for the for the last 6 months, there has been a lot of bullish, particularly posted by Tasha K. And some new chick just got into I okay, some new chick just got into it. Uh Jesse, sometimes about messages, text messages, voice, audio, all that is 1000% bull hockey. Okay, we're just going to just use that. Barn revealed that in 2023, he and his ex had split up for a month. The former NBA player added that he started talking to a woman who was in his DMs. Pretty girl in my DMs. And over time, the conversation got a little spicy and heavy. However, Barnes added he never met the woman in person, never, and stopped talking to her after he got back with his ex. Okay, however, things changed next year when Matt Barnes and when his ex started doing the reality show, The Barnes Bunch. It's on WeTV. During the show, uh, he got I think he got his ex pregnant, and the couple revealed the big news to the world. Yeah, he did. According to Barnes, shortly after the pregnancy news, he started getting calls from different phone numbers threatening to expose him. In 2017, the 2017 NBA champion further revealed he had no idea what the threats was because he hadn't gotten physical with this woman, not even met the woman. However, he paid for a year to keep the woman hush, keep things private, because his ex was pregnant. Then he kept the payments flowing until 2024. Barn alleges that in 2025, the woman in question started threatening to expose him. According to the NBA player, the woman had used AI to manipulate his voice messages. Things escalated quickly for Matt Barnes after Tasha K made things public without fact checking or the evidence that she gotten to see if it's authentic. Allegedly about him being GAY, talking to a woman talking a woman into having um, a deletion with her pregnancy, and threatening about his kids. Matt Barnes published the chats with the woman and who demanded money, payment receipts. He provided. Matt Barnes has been making payments on the 5th and the 6th, like the 1st and 15th, when you get them first of the month checks. Okay, he was the government before the government. Okay, in total it was 61K. Jesus Christ, 61K. He stopped sending the payments in January. She started sending messages and threatening to expose him. Now, okay, we're gonna just end it right there. Okay, we're just gonna end it right there. We're gonna end it right there. Okay, what do I think about all of this goings on with Matt Barnes? Okay, I want to say this for the record. Matt Barnes might be telling the truth. How much of a percentage of the truth? I think maybe 90%. He might be telling the truth. However, and I remember my father told me this, several other older men told me this when I was a kid, teenager, young adult. Now I'm an older adult. Sometimes you're guilty by association. You're guilty by your track record. You're guilty by your behavior. If you don't change your behavior, people are not going to believe you when you're totally innocent of something. Okay? However, like, for an example, like, if you rob banks, you go to prison, you do your time, you do your bid, and you're free. And the first thing you do when you're free, you start hanging around people that are still robbing banks. You're hanging around not the best people with the best reputation. People are going to assume that you're back to your old ways. Okay? And I think initially, the reason why Matt Barnes continued to pay this lady, because one, he just got back with his ex, got his ex pregnant, and people seem to forget that Matt Barnes was in the news a couple of years ago. A lot of women allegedly was messing around with Matt Barnes when he was going with his baby mama, the girl that he now married, or his wife, and he's been cheating on the side. Anyway, even before the pregnancy, even before the reality show, that's why they broke up, because, Matt Barnes was, in them streets. Okay? So, I believe that, Matt Barnes got called up, and I do believe him when he says, he was. And, this happens to a lot of guys. I wouldn't expect it would happen to Matt Barnes, but there is a possibility. Some guys, when, you're not seeing anyone, you're divorced, you just broken up with somebody, and, you have those urges, you're lonely, and when someone hits you on your DM, and you're not talking to no one else, you carry on a conversation with this person, but you have no idea who's on the other side of these messages. Okay, you could be messaging another guy, okay, and you have no idea who you are messaging. You don't know their personality, you don't know their credibility, you don't know their reputation. You just start messaging. Now, I do feel like during that time period, Matt Barnes probably said something that he regrets now. Now, I don't believe that it has anything to do with him being gay, or he prefers to be with women. I don't believe none of that stuff. Okay, let me see if y'all can hear me. Can y'all hear me? Yeah, okay, y'all can hear me. Y'all can hear me clearly. So, I don't think that's the thing that made him go into, man, I gotta pay this woman to keep her quiet. I believe Matt Barnes probably said something about his ex at the time. And he probably said something that he regrets right now. And I do believe that there's going to be some messages that's going to be released in the next couple of weeks or months that Matt Barnes have the message that he sent these messages, and they're not going to, and these messages or phone calls are not going to paint Matt Barnes in the best of light. So either he said something about his ex, or he done said something about somebody that he does business with, or a so-called friend. He's already on the defense that he's saying everything has been altered. Everything has been chopped and screwed. He even talked about this lady's using AI. And now he's threatening to sue this woman, and he's threatening to sue Tasha K. Now let's go into the Tasha K factor. I think Tasha K been burnt so many times. I think Tasha K, she has something, or maybe not nothing at all, but she does have something that's going to keep her out of, being liable or being sued or any type of, legal matters or anything like that. So she's already lawyered up. I'm not sure about this woman. When you extort somebody, that is a crime, no matter how you chop it up or carve it. This is not a gift. You don't work for Matt Barnes, and you're basically getting these payments because of something that the rest of the world doesn't know about Matt Barnes. So you are extorting him. Now, I don't know how this lady's going to get out of that situation, but that's a serious crime. And I'm going to be honest with you, when it's no different than a scammer scamming an old couple out of their retirement money. It's no different if someone's scamming your kids out of their money or whatever. Okay. Now I do feel like if this do go to court, the judge is going to look at Matt Barnes. He's going to look at, well, first and foremost, he's a man, and I feel like in court, men don't get people are not sympathetic for men in court. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, Asian, whatever, because everyone has this false misunderstanding about a man. Everyone feels like a man wouldn't put himself in a predicament like this, and he can defend himself, and yada 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 yada. So he's not going to get sympathy from the judge or from the jury. He's going to get some sympathy, but not a lot of sympathy, because A, he's a man. B, he's wealthy, and thirdly, they're going to look at his track record, and there's going to be doubts. If this do go to court, the judge or the jury, they're going to look at his behavior. They're going to look at his track record. They're going to look at his history, and he's guilty by association. They're going to say, well, how is this any different than the other times he has found himself in a situation like this? Now, I know people are going to go run into the comment section and go, well, he's never been extorted before. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about always finding himself in these predicaments with another woman. Okay? People seem to forget that his first wife, he got into an altercation with her boyfriend. I think it's Fisher. I think his last name is Fisher. He used to be a coach for the WNBA. He's not doing anything now. He got into an altercation with them. Then you're talking about your baby mama that you made, and that's your wife now. You got some issues with that as well. You got this going on. And then a couple of years ago, you was in the news because your baby mama that's your wife now, found out that you was cheating on the side. You were paying college fund tuitions, paying, you were just, throwing it everywhere to every woman that was available. Okay. That's why y'all broke up in the first place. So I think he's scared because he's saying to himself, I don't work so hard to get her to trust me. When this comes out, she's going to automatically assume the worst of me. Okay. And I've seen a video of him saying, yeah, I talked to my wife about this, and I showed her the messages. But see, you shouldn't have been carrying on these messages. Okay. And you should not have been, paying this woman, because your guilt by association, people just going to assume that, this might, you might have been messing around with this female. Now, he's saying he's never met this woman. He has no idea what this woman looks like. Has never met this woman, they in public or anything. Now, I'm going to tell you something. If they got pictures and videos of him taking her out or going to the hotel or he's laying in bed with her, then everything that he done worked hard for, it's a wrap. As far as him and his wife, she's going to get a divorce, say bye-bye to the reality show, okay? And that the reality show is the least of your worries. It's your relationship with your wife. I think that will be that's unsalvaged, and that's going to be gone away. Okay, first and foremost, your reputation takes another hit. And now those endorsers, those sponsors that backed you 2 years ago when you was in the news, when you was allegedly cheating with your wife, it was no big deal, because a lot of these sponsors and endorsers are run by men. They're probably thinking, okay, a man, he was just a man being a man. Okay, but now, okay, this is true. That was true a couple of years ago. This does not look good. We can no longer sponsor your show. We can no longer endorse your show. Say bye to that. Say bye to the job possibilities out there, to like TNT, ESPN, Fox Sports 1. Say bye to those shows, because hey, look, sports is being watched by females, like it or not, love it or hate it, and image-wise, it's just not a good look. It's just not a good image. Now, there has been talk that Matt Barnes could be a coach on an NBA level. People are throwing his name in the hat for things like that. So all that stuff goes away if there's videos and pictures of him messing with this girl after you just got on social media saying you never met this girl, you never seen her face to face. The most you have ever done with this girl was DM her back and forth. Okay, and it's just not a good look for Matt Barnes. It's real ugly. I don't know how you can come above this, but hey, yeah, that's not a good look for Matt Barnes. I hope this isn't true, but all signs leading to something is about to drop. And Tasha K, she's not going to just leave herself out in the open if she does not have receipts. She's going to have plenty of receipts. I think after Cardi B, that situation with Cardi B, and she ends up owing Cardi B money. I think Tasha K is a little bit more careful now. She's just not throwing out anything just to put it out there, to be the first one to put it out there. So this has the elements, and I said this in the beginning of this live stream. I believe Matt Barnes. I believe 90% of what he said in that live stream, 90%, but I do feel like there's like 10% of stuff that, it does not look good for Matt Barnes, and he's just going to have to figure it out, okay? So, I'm moving past this story. Guys, comment in the comment section. Tell me what y'all think of this story. Now, I was supposed to do a live stream about Michelle Beadle praying for Stephen A. Smith's downfall. And Stephen A. Smith responded to those comments. And now you got Michelle Beadle responding to Stephen A. Smith. I don't want to go into details because I pretty much did a video and a live stream about this on this very channel. You can go to those videos for yourself. But basically, this is tick for tack. Michelle Beadle, back in the day, she used to be on ESPN. And she was working at ESPN when Stephen A. Smith stuck his foot in his mouth talking about the Ray Rice incident. And he said some things that didn't make him look good. I did not co-sign to what Stephen A. Smith said. Stephen A. Smith ended up being suspended, after public outrage and a lot of women at ESPN, speaking on it. And ESPN had no choice but to suspend Stephen A. Smith. And to be completely honest with you, Stephen A. Smith could have lost his job at ESPN for a second time around. And if he would have lost his job, I don't see him coming back from that. I don't see him reaching the level where he's at now. Okay? He would have took a huge hit, a huge fall, and that could have almost sunk the Stephen A. Smith battleship. Okay? So, after, he came back, of course, he's going to apologize. Of course, he had to rebuild his reputation. He worked hard. And now when you look at Stephen A. Smith is not in the same light like he was with the Ray Rice incident. Stephen A. Smith has gone on, made First Take the most popular sports show ever. Stephen A. Smith got a radio show on ESPN. He's got a radio show on Mad Dog. He's got a political show with that political network. I forgot the name of it. Stephen wrote books, been on television shows, been in movies. Stephen A. Smith, if Stephen A. Smith was a stock, he skyrocketed, okay? And if you look on the other side of the street, you look at Michelle Beadle. She was let go by ESPN. I think she went to NBC and she failed there. And she's been pretty much on social media, going on vacations, because, when ESPN was letting everybody go, ESPN was giving out severance packages for people who no longer work for the network. And I do feel like once she got that big money from ESPN, she stopped rebranding and reproving herself. And I felt like when she went to NBC, she didn't really put a lot of effort in it. She didn't put a lot of heart in it. She was like, okay, damn if I do, damn if I don't. If it don't work out, no big deal. I got this money. And she's been bouncing, trying to get back into sports. The last big thing Michelle Beadle did was Mad Dog Sports. She had a radio show there. I listened to it on satellite radio, but it's not the #1 show I would automatically go to. If I had nothing else to listen to, I would go listen to her show. It was okay. It was all right. All right. And then came the announcement that they was going to cancel her radio show, and who's going to replace her time slot was the Stephen A. Smith show. She was not happy about that. She said some words about Stephen A. Smith when, truth be known, I understand that, you're upset at Stephen A. Smith, but you should be even madder at Christopher Mad Dog Russo. It's his network. He's the one who made the decision to let you go. And if Stephen A. Smith didn't accept the offer, someone else would have accepted the offer. Your show would be non-existent anyway. Okay, your show was on the out anyway. So she was not happy with that decision. Said a lot of things about Stephen A. Smith, and then Stephen A. Smith finally respond to her comments. And now Kerry Champion got involved after he responded to Michelle Beadle. And Kerry Champion said, won't you have that same energy for Michelle Beadle? He already responded to Michelle Beadle. And Stephen A. Smith is not one of those guys that's going to respond every time every time someone's got some hate coming to Stephen A. Smith's way. Remember, oh my God, I forgot that fat boy name. Michael, is he Michael Will? No, fuck, I forgot that fat guy name that's doing YouTube now. He used to, oh my God, I forgot that guy's name. It's not Michael Wilbon. It's Jason Whitlock. So Jason Whitlock, who's been notoriously on Stephen A. Smith's neck for years, finally, Stephen A. Smith responded to him after Jason Whitlock has been going at Stephen A. Smith for the past 5 years because he's hating on Stephen A. Smith because Stephen A. Smith's still at ESPN. Jason Whitlock is not at ESPN. He's not at Fox Sports 1. He's a YouTuber, okay? He's not happy with his situation, and he's taking it out on Stephen A. Smith. Well, finally, Stephen A. Smith responded to Jason Whitlock after years and years of Jason Whitlock, torturing him, okay? So Stephen A. Smith is not one of those guys because he look at it like this. If you're not on the same level as me, then why am I responding to your comments? Okay, Jason Whitlock is nowhere close to the universe of where Stephen A. Smith resides in, and the same thing with Michelle Beadle. Well, Kerry Champion said, "Won't you have the same?" Which he already responded. She was a little late to the party, and he responded back to Kerry Champion talking about you should be ashamed of yourself because I was the one that recommended you to First Take. I don't know how much credibility is that. Did Stephen A. Smith say some good things about Kerry Champion? Yes, but they based everything on what Stephen A. Smith believed about Kerry Champion. I don't think so. I think and at that time Skip Bayless was involved in that show as well. It was a new regime that was running ESPN at that time. But Stephen A. Smith didn't say anything negative about not working with her because when Skip Bayless was at First Take, Skip Bayless had say-so of who's going to be on First Take and who's not going to be on First Take. So if they was going to give Skip Bayless that authority and that power, then one would assume they would do that for Stephen A. Smith. So, you got to take that with a grain of salt. I don't know how true is that with the Kerry Champion factor. Now, there's a part 2 to that story. Unfortunately, I got a little lazy and I did not listen to the clip. It's not coming from Kerry Champion. But I will say this, I know Stephen A. Smith. I know a lot of y'all call him Uncle Ruckus. I know y'all call him Uncle Tom. I know, buck dancing. I get all that. Even Kwame Brown that said some things about Stephen A. Smith. But the one thing a lot of people are going to have to face facts and face reality is, and you have to be realistic and you got to be authentic and true if you got a YouTube channel. Stephen A. Smith is the algorithm, particularly with sports talk. No, there's not a single person that's bigger than Stephen A. Smith other than Pat McAfee. Okay, I think Pat McAfee is up there. At one point in time, Shannon Sharp was up there, but no one's bigger in this sports talk universe than Stephen A. Smith. You have to compare Stephen A. Smith to networks to see who's bigger. NBC or Stephen A. Smith. So Stephen A. Smith got some cachet. He's got some say-so. He worked hard for what he got. And a lot of people that's taking a shot at Stephen A. Smith, Stephen A. Smith got a target on his back. He's the highest paid sports influencer. I call them sports influencers. He's on the biggest network, ESPN. He has his own, studio. He has his own YouTube channel. He's on radio. He does political talk. There's talk of him might be becoming the president of the United States. Okay, so you got to give, even if you hate Stephen A. Smith, you got to give him some credibility on that level. No one is that big than Stephen A. Smith. And I feel like a lot of people take a lot of shots of him because he's got a target on his back because, he's the algorithm. So you're going to be for or against the algorithm. And right now, people are utilizing and weaponizing their disdain for Stephen A. Smith to make content. It's just the way it is. When you're the big boy on the block, people are gonna slung arrows at you, no matter how you look at it. So, this is not one of those situations where Stephen A. Smith, shot at them or said something about them. From what I gather from these individuals been slanging arrows at Stephen A. Smith. And hey, Stephen A. Smith is the big man on campus, okay? And he should be able to take it, and he understands that, as well. But I always be fair and authentic and honest with all these guys. First and foremost, I have no relationship with or no ties to any of these guys. But I tell it like it is. And, people say that Stephen A. Smith bug dance. Stephen A. Smith is a yes man. Stephen A. Smith is this. It's funny how when a black man's successful, we put all these labels and stereotypes on him. Well, he's brown nosing. He's this. He's the get along. He's on the get along gang. I think that's how they pronounce that. This, that, and the third. We love tearing down successful black men. Okay, and we love labeling them. But when there's a white guy that's successful, we look at him and say, hey, that's where I want to be at. That's what I want to do. Okay? So it's a gift and a curse if you're a successful black man. It's a gift and a curse. People, there's going to be people that's going to like you, and there's going to be people that love to hate you. You just got to just deal with it. It comes with the territory. So I understand how people have a disdain for Stephen A. Smith, but Stephen A. Smith had never shot at these people first. These people are pretty much have shot at Stephen A. Smith because they're looking at their careers, and their careers are nowhere near where Stephen A. Smith is. Carrie Champion, I felt like that was a mistake. She should have stayed on at ESPN, but she was drinking the Kool-Aid of Jemele Hill when she got let go at ESPN. And Carrie Champion said, okay, I'm sticking with my sister. I'm going wherever she goes. And they have tried podcasts. They've been on CNN. They've been complex everywhere. And they can't reproduce the success that they had at ESPN. Carrie Champion and Jemele Hill were more popular, more successful at ESPN than any juncture they have ever been after ESPN. And Carrie Champion, and I like Jemele Hill. I love Carrie Champion, but let's just face facts. Carrie Champion and Jemele Hill, they're like that guy that was beefing with Chris Brown. I forgot his name. Now he's on live talking about he's on EBT. That's what Carrie Champion and Jemele Hill has. Y'all been so successful at ESPN, and y'all figured that ESPN was going to drop off, and they've been bigger, better than ever, have signed bigger and better sports influencers besides you. This is our life before we hired Carrie Champion and Jemele Hill. This is life after Jemele Hill and Carrie Champion. I feel like Carrie Champion, that was a huge mistake that she made. I'm pretty sure, hindsight being 2020, if she had the opportunity to do it again, she'll do things differently. Trust me. I think she has never been as important or big or successful when she was at ESPN. Just understand why Jemele Hill ain't there, because Jemele Hill wanted to be politically correct, and she was feuding with Trump, and Trump's know some people at ESPN, and they got rid of Jemele Hill, and now Jemele Hill, if you make this a racist thing, I'm sorry, Jemele Hill, he's been going after anybody with a voice or a platform that says negative things about him. Okay, he just closed a late show on CBS. He got Gayle King fired at CBS Morning News, whatever you call that crap. He put pressure on the other night shows. There's been a lot of shows that have been canceled because of Trump. So, to sit there and say, well, he's hating on me because I'm a black female, it may have some validity to it, but not a lot of validity to it. So, but yeah, let me get off this soapbox real quick. But everybody has an issue with Stephen A. Smith because Stephen A. Smith is where everybody else wants to be. Everybody wants to be where Stephen A. Smith's at. No one is sitting up here saying, oh, I would not want to be where Stephen A. Smith is. Of course you will. Okay. A Dreamer Pro, of course you would want to be where Stephen A. Smith at. Ticket TV, of course you want to be where Stephen A. Smith is going to be. Kwame Brown, of course you want to be where Stephen A. Smith is at right now. Even me, of course I would love to be where Stephen A. Smith is. Okay. But due to opportunities, due to Stephen A. Smith, when he wakes up in the morning, he thinks about how much more money he can make for ESPN, and that's why he's in the position where he's at. Okay, and the rest of us, we're probably thinking about other things, about how we can make our platform better. How can we make our brand better? Stephen A. Smith was saying, how can I make ESPN better? And while he was doing that, launched him higher. Okay, so yeah, a lot of these people, well, particularly Carrie Champion and Michelle Beadle, they have an issue with Stephen A. Smith, and Michelle Beadle has been beefing with Stephen A. Smith since Beefaroni. Okay, and they're going to continue to beef. Okay, and you just got to get in and fit in. That's why I would tell Michelle Beadle, if he's the biggest thing in sports talk television, instead of trying to divide yourself, you need to figure out a way to get yourself in. That's what I would be doing. But some people think other ways. All right. So yeah, that's all I got for that. There's nothing more. I was going to do a live stream on that, but I felt like, man, it's really old news and not a lot to talk about. Be sure, if you haven't listened to my Matt Barnes story, rewind the live stream back, listen to it from the beginning. I'm about to head on up out of here. It's your boy. I really appreciate everyone that came in, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, that watches the live streams, watches the videos. I really do appreciate that, because when I look at my analytics, I see the work that you guys are doing. So I say to myself, I gotta at least put some type of content out, even if it's one or two pieces of content. If y'all working hard for me, I gotta work hard for you guys. Okay, so I gotta at least do that. So guys, I will talk to you. I appreciate what you guys doing first and foremost. I'll talk to you guys later. I'll see you whenever some news come out. Deuce.